I would like to basically talk about a little story with you guys. And as all stories start, I will start with once upon a time, long, long ago, when I was a child, I spent many hours talking to dogs, cats, cows, and dinosaurs. Yes, you heard me right, I did say dinosaurs. Uh, in fact, I was an average child and I was easily distracted. My loving mother called me jack of all trades and master of none. And one such day, while I was busy talking to the plants on my windowsill about all my life's problems back then as a child, oh my goodness, my math homework and all of the other things, I realized that when I'm spending time in nature, I am never distracted. And even if I do get distracted, I'm distracted by the odd bug or earthworm or butterfly or beetle that's on the plants. So it essentially falls within the gamut of nature, so it wasn't a problem. And this was a thought process that I continued well into my 20s. And along the journey, I spent time watching the amazing, the mind-blowing Sir David Attenborough's documentaries. Some of you may know about him. I can see you guys nodding. I think he does a fantastic job of communicating wildlife and nature series. I also read up about some of the larger issues, colossal issues, I should say, actually, like the climate crisis. I realized that it's a global problem, be it the slowing ocean conveyor belt or the unfathomable forest fires or melting Himalayas, or even the great species extinction. We are in the 6th mass extinction today. The Earth has gone through 5 before this, but this one puts us in the limelight because we have accelerated the process, and actually human actions are responsible in a way for the 6th mass extinction. So, in fact, did you know that 200 plus species go extinct every year globally? Okay, gone forever. Extinction is forever. Okay, and I'm not talking about individual death or local distribution getting lost. The entire species is wiped out. Millions of years of evolution gone, right? So, and not just that, I also realized that because of human actions, there is a natural extinction rate that goes on. But human actions have accelerated by 1,000 to 10,000 times. So when you look at the numbers, it's really staggering. And this is a conservative estimate, just so you know, because of course, putting all of these things into numbers, considering all the different variables is very difficult, right? So this is a conservative estimate. And of course, as any logical, rational person who spends a lot of time daydreaming, I thought that I could solve all these problems. You know, that red cape is flying on my shoulders. And yes, I'm going to find the solution. I can do this. I've spent so many hours here talking to plants and all, so I know everything. But when I started working in the field, the reality was very different. I spent a lot of time analyzing something called the Wildlife Protection Act. It was developed in 1972. I see some of you nodding, you youngsters. That's awesome to know that you guys know about it. It's one of the premier laws in India which looks at conservation of wildlife. And I realized that none of the freshwater fish species are actually featured in it. And I spent a lot of time trying to map out all the different ministries and departments that work with a single freshwater system. From mining to tourism to economics to export to damming to irrigation to water issues to fisheries, and the list goes on. To bring them all together and to make it happen, to do an integrated management system, I was like all of 25 years old. So again, still with that cape flying at my back, thinking, I can solve this, definitely. But as time went on, I worked on other projects, and what I realized was, in fact, in one of my projects, it proved that one of the species I was working on has gone extinct. I proved it, my study proved it. And I think that was the last straw that broke the camel's back. I was extremely low. And at this low point, I came across an opportunity, which is I got to do my MPhil in conservation leadership at University of Cambridge. And I met 22 other classmates who are from 19 different countries. And I realized each of them comes with very unique skills, different backgrounds, from architecture to business to a tribal chief to everybody is in the classroom. So they have unique conservation challenges, they have fascinating solutions to it. So there was so much peer-to-peer learning. It again boosted a little bit of that morale that had gone down. Something that conservationists face on a regular basis, because we deal with some of these problems on a daily basis. It's the burden of knowledge, I like to call it. So, and then of course I had the epitome of my life's moment, twice in a lifetime opportunity, I got to meet Sir David Attenborough himself. And for those of you who may not know about him, he has been making wildlife documentaries for 70 plus years only. He's continuing to make them, by the way. I think he's making Planet Earth 3 right now. So, and when I spoke to him in person, I realized at the age of 92, the young age of 92, he's still as passionate, he's still as curious. So if someone like that can continue doing that, seeing all the changes he has seen in his lifetime, why can't we, right? So it was a moment of epiphany for me, and I realized that conservation is all about breaking boundaries. It's about involving everybody, because we are all part of the problem. So, but obvious, we all have to be part of the solution, right? So with that thought in mind, I started working on a lot of different things. One of my experiences is that I realized building capacity, and empowering local citizens can have a huge impact, be it architects, engineers, IT professionals, farmers, students, fishermen, any and everybody. You talk to them and build them and give them the small few tools and techniques and all of those things. And over time, they can do wonders. To give an example, a group of citizen scientists in Coimbatore, I'm from Coimbatore by the way, they have been observing and monitoring a water body for many years now, and they have managed to publish a scientific paper on par with scientists. And why this is so special and I'm so excited about it is that scientific journals do not have a shelf life like a newspaper or a book or a magazine. They are preserved for posterity. I still refer to papers by someone called Francis Day, who's a fish biologist, 100, 200 years ago. Okay? So it's preserved for posterity. And that's why scientific publication is so special. And these are just regular people. And what did they do? They spent one Saturday every month, few hours at a water body observing what's happening there. That's all. For 3 years, throughout the seasons, consistently. And they took turns. Okay, you have a child's birthday today, I'll take over for you. And over time, they built a sense of ownership, a sense of pride towards that water body. And that's the key, that emotional connect that you make with that water body. And now today, they are the custodians. They are the guardians of the water body. Because even if scientists are absent, it doesn't matter. They will take care of that space. I am rest assured of that. So this was an amazing experience for me. Then there was also the experience where I was working with deep sea fishermen from Kanyakumari. Okay? These fishermen go out to sea 1 month at a time, okay, braving storms, poor connectivity, even loss of life and limb to make a living. And I realized as I spoke to them, they have accumulated centuries of information, generation to generation, indigenous knowledge that has been passed on. They are having daily observations of what's happening in the ocean. All the plastic that we are chucking out is going into the ocean, it's coming out on their nets. All of this is going on with them. So as our conversation progressed, we have realized that we need to build a healthy ocean. And also we realized that we actually have one ocean. It's not like land. There are no boundaries in the ocean. Even though we have put political boundaries, Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, etc. But if you see, everything is connected, it's one ocean. And that one ocean is, we have to work together to conserve it. So a co-management system to build sustainable fisheries, okay, is the key. And now those indigenous communities are coming forward requesting for this. And fisheries is a strong part of our India's economy, right? So you can see it's gone from indigenous knowledge of fisher folk to India's economy. Just imagine along the way how many different people have been connected. Once again, I come back to it, we are all part of nature. We are all connected to the problem, we are all part of the solution. We have also been training a lot of youngsters who are interested to look at this subject as a field of study, as a career option, or as a thing that they would like to do on the side. And I see a lot of youth here today. You guys have done a fantastic job of organizing this. So I see a lot of potential there. And so we train these youths and build the leaders of tomorrow. And they can be, again, as I said, architects, engineers, etc., whatever they would like to be, doctors. But they bring in those unique skills to build that integrated, holistic solution. Because I told you the rate of extinction, I'm talking to you about the climate crisis. It's not something that one person can solve. I have learned that the hard way, right? We need to collaborate. Everybody needs to be part of the solution. How? That we'll talk about further. Now, I just spoke about climate crisis. Now, it's a very vast problem. And honestly, sometimes I find it difficult to fathom. I find it difficult to comprehend. Okay, there are large forest fires happening in Australia. Okay, so what can I do about it? Or the ocean conveyor belt is slowing down. Not in my control, right? The El Nino effect in the Pacific Ocean, that's affecting our monsoon patterns. Not in my control, right? So how do we communicate this? Most often, if you ask someone like me, a scientist or a researcher, we'll throw bar graphs at you, which we think are very sexy, and we'll throw, all those beautiful numbers at you, and we're like, oh my goodness, yes, those patterns, they look so beautiful. Everybody else has fallen to sleep, okay? So what we have decided to do is take help from artists. Artists who are so eloquently communicating social problems and environmental problems for centuries. We can take their help to communicate the climate crisis, because that will have a much better impact. It will bring people into the fold, because at some level, any form of art, everybody is connected to it at some level, right? Because it has so many different ways to communicate. So, of course, there are 100,000 approaches that you can take to deal with the conservation issue, and we can talk more about it. I'm available later also. But the point is that there is a lot of scope for each and every one of us to do their bit. Okay, so how do we do it? What's next? Well, I will start with something very simple. Next time, the students or any of the teachers who are in this space, observe some of the trees around you. See if they have flowers on them. Is there a squirrel sitting on it? Is there a butterfly sitting on it? Are there birds coming to it? Just spend a little time. Observe nature. Maybe read up a little bit about it. Watch wildlife documentaries or video. So, even volunteer your time with an organization in any capacity. Trust me. Like I was just explaining to some of them here, I'm a complete tech dinosaur. I asked them 3 times which button to press to go to the next slide. Okay? So, all kinds of support is always required. So you can volunteer in any capacity. There is also the scope of training workshops of those who want to take it more serious. So there are a lot of ways you can contribute. If someone who's an architect, so in the landscaping, most of the plants that I use are not native species, are not from India. They are brought in because they look beautiful. But there are Indian species that look even better and will do much better in the high elevation landscape of Bangalore. We are at 1,000 meters almost. It's all like a hill station, yeah? So all of these small things, there is something for everyone to do. Again, everybody is part of the solution. I would just like to close with the last few points. One is that try and bring back that sense of wonder. Okay, as a child, you would have, played in the mud, picked up an earthworm, picked up a stick, some leaves, done something with it. Bring back that sense of wonder. Try and reconnect with it. It's there in you. It's just that it has gotten out of your system as you have grown up. Bring that back, because eventually I guarantee it that you'll fall in love with some aspect of nature. And once you fall in love with it, my job is done. I know you will cherish it and care for it because you love it. It's as simple as that. And in the immortal words of activist and marine biologist Rachel Carson, if I had any sway with the good fairy, I would request her to preserve the sense of wonder for nature in a child throughout his or her life. So just bring back that sense of wonder and reconnect, and I assure you, you'll love nature and you'll preserve it. Thank you very much.